Hey, what's up? This is Jay giving you my very first Raw review. This is the Raw after the 2019 Royal Rumble. The show starts off with Seth Rollins coming out there cutting a promo of how he's not sure on what champion he wants to face, but it's always been a dream of his to headline WrestleMania. So he does the stereotypical thing. He points at that sign, and the crowd is chanting, "You deserve it." And then he gets a little emotional, and then Triple H comes out there, and he tells him how he's always believed in him and how it was his dream to headline WrestleMania as well, and they kind of bond and have this father-son thing going on. And then Dean Ambrose comes out there, and matter of fact, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Triple H is kind of telling him that he has a decision to make. He has to pick his opponent for WrestleMania, and he needs to pick it tonight. And Seth Rollins is like, he's not really sure, but if he has to pick it tonight, he will. Then Dean Ambrose comes out there, and he's basically talking about how he knew that Seth Rollins could do it, and he knows he can win that championship at WrestleMania, and how he's been his brother for so long, and how they used to travel together, and Triple H doesn't really care about them, and Seth is a kiss ass and all this other stuff. And then he challenges Seth Rollins right then and there to a match. Triple H looks at the both of them and leaves the ring. And Dean Ambrose says this. He says, "Oh, that's right. You have to get your father-in-law's permission first." So Triple H looks at him, and the crowd goes nuts, and they just start chanting, "Yes, he does. Yes, he does." And then Triple H says, "Bring a ref down here." So we get a commercial break, and then the very first match of the night is Dean Ambrose versus Seth. And to be honest, the match was actually pretty good. It was probably one of the best matches of the night. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5, simply because the ending was kind of sloppy. You know, Seth always wants to get the crowd involved, and Dean sat there for about a good 10-15 seconds just waiting for the curb stomp. If you don't believe me, just go rewatch. So after the match, Dean Ambrose is just sitting there in the chair, looking like he's getting ready to cut a promo about his career. And you know the crazy thing was, as I'm watching him cut the promo, or attempt to cut the promo, we're going to get to that in a second, I'm like, he really looks like Trevor from GTA 5. Like, I really am not a fan of Dean Ambrose's new haircut. So as he's getting ready to cut the promo, the Samoan Botch team comes out there of Nia Jax and what's that other one? Oh, Tamina. Yeah, so they come out there, interrupt him, and pretty much kind of kick him out of the ring. I'm not sure how I feel about that spot. But anyway, Dean Ambrose, he leaves the ring. And then I gotta listen to Renee on commentary, and I am not a fan of her on commentary. I feel as though I don't want to necessarily tell them they should take her off, but she could do a much better job than that. Well, at least I hope she can. Like, here's an example. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just nitpicking, but Renee Young says that Nia Jax is the first woman to eliminate someone in the women's and men's Royal Rumble, which isn't technically accurate, because Beth Phoenix eliminated the Great Khali in the men's Royal Rumble a few years ago, and she competed in last year's Royal Rumble. Well, for women's Royal Rumble. So we get the second match of Alexa Bliss and Mickie James versus the Samoan Botch crew, and I'm kind of glad that Nia Jax isn't wearing her attire from the Royal Rumble with that blue. It just was not flattering. And another thing, I feel like I'm the only one who notices this, but Nia Jax is terrible in the ring. So is Tamina, but they're consistently booked on Raw because WWE believes that maybe, just maybe, if we keep pushing them on Raw, maybe The Rock will make an appearance. And another thing, why would they start off this tournament for the women's tag team division with two heel teams going against one another? And another thing, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was a fan with a sign up that said Nia Jax is a SSBBW. I thought that was kind of cool. So Nia Jax picks up the W for her team with a double Samoan drop that she lands on Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. The commentary were trying to put this move over, saying it was amazing, but it really wasn't. And one thing I did not like about the commentary was it seemed like they were inadvertently trying to compare Nia Jax to China without saying China's name. You know, basically talking about Nia Jax wrestling men. And I'm like, there's plenty of women in this industry that wrestled men and did it much better than her. All in all, I was just happy to get that match over with. I would give that a 1 out of 5. And that's just all I'm going to say about that one. So, we have a backstage segment with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's kind of blaming Baron Corbin for him not being GM anymore. And if Baron Corbin would have stayed out of the way, maybe he would have still been GM, which sets up a match between Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin. I give the match a 1.5 out of... Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 simply because I love Kurt. But to be honest, I really do not want to see Kurt Angle wrestle anymore. And there's got to be something else he could do backstage. But Baron Corbin picks up the win with a deep 6. And then he comes back in the ring and hits Kurt Angle with the end of days. It was a bland segment. Maybe Kurt should be a backstage producer. You know, he was a great wrestler in his day. So after that, Finn Balor cuts a promo about him losing to Brock Lesnar, but he made Brock Lesnar a believer in him, which I can totally agree with. I wasn't mad about that. And then Bobby Lashley comes out with Lio Rush, and Lio Rush pretty much says that Bobby Lashley is much better than Brock. He's stronger, he's faster. And then Bobby Lashley attacks Finn Balor, hits him with, it looks like 3 choke slams, but on the commentary team they said 3 regular slams. But maybe they should have said choke slams. It would have seemed cooler, but you know, who am I, you know? So after that, we have the 4th match between the Edge, which is Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, versus the Revival. The Revival picks up a win. It was so quick and so fast, but I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 simply because I like the Revival. Hopefully the Revival leaves, though. I mean, I know a lot of us don't want the Revival to leave, but it might be best for them to leave. So you get the next segment with Elias saying that he's disappointed with the fans. And I wonder, is he going heel? Again, because if he is, he should have never went face in the first place. So Jeff Jarrett comes out there, and then the Road Dogg come out there, or should I say Verody. And they basically tell Elias that if he does not want to play for the fans, and only wants to play for himself, then do us all a favor and play with yourself on your own time. I thought that line was hilarious. You know, the crowd starts chanting, holy shit. It was pretty much a good segment. So, Jeff Jarrett and Road Dogg start performing their song, and they're walking around the ring, and then Elias attacks both of them with guitars. Good segment for Elias. I feel as though he should have never been face in the first place. So, that's that. So, we got the next match between Natalya and Dana Brooke versus the Riot Squad. This was actually out of the Riot Squad. It was Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. I believe that they're going to perform as a tag team in this tournament under the Freebird rule. So Liv Morgan picks up the victory with a roll-up on Natalya. And I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 because I like Liv Morgan. She's been through a lot, apparently, with the whole getting knocked out. But I'm guessing it's going to start a mini feud between Natalya and Dana Brooke, because they had a segment before the match where Natalya was upset that Ember Moon got injured and had to team up with Dana Brooke, and then Dana was offended that she didn't want to be on teams with her. She says she's better than Natalya. But at the end of the match, I think it was Sarah Logan who knocked Dana Brooke into Natalya so she could get rolled up to Liv. But at the end of the day, it's not Dana Brooke's fault. Natalya is the one who got pinned. But would I be interested in seeing Natalya versus Dana Brooke? No. I'm not really a fan of Natalia. So we have Ronda Rousey comes out next, and she cuts a promo, and the crowd is just raining in boos and chants for Becky Lynch. Like, the crowd totally got the Ronda tonight. She was out there stuttering. The fans treated Ronda Rousey like a substitute teacher. She couldn't get a word in. So, in the mix of all these chants for Becky Lynch, Bayley comes out there and pretty much says she accepts Ronda Rousey's open challenge for the Raw Women's Championship match. Well, Raw Women's Championship. But it was actually a really decent match. I might be, just picking hairs when I say this, but I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. It could have been a tad bit better, but it wasn't bad at all. So Ronda Rousey makes Bayley tap with the arm bar, and after that they look at each other. She helps Bayley up. They shake hands, and I just wanted Bayley to throw up the 4 horsewomen sign on her face so bad, but it never happened. And then here comes Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch comes out there and cuts a promo pretty much talking about how she dropped Ronda Rousey and she's challenging her for the Raw's Women's Championship. And Ronda responds, but no one really cares. The fans are just booing the hell out of her. And Ronda cuts this promo talking about how she could kill her if she wanted to. And the fans just really just shat on that whole thing. And you could tell that Ronda was visibly upset with the fans, which is weird because she's a face. But to be honest, Ronda cuts a lot of heel-like promos, but she cannot handle it when the fans shit on her, and I love it. I think Ronda's cool, but I love it when she loses her composure. And I'm just being completely honest. Like the way how she stormed out of the ring, she was really pissed. You know what? I take you back. You take this. You take the promo with Ronda Rousey, and you take Bayley coming out with that great match, and then the situation between Ronda and Becky. I give the whole entire segment 5 out of 5. It was great. It was very entertaining. So we got our next match, which is Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre. It was a fair match. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. It was kind of average. I believe Baron Corbin gets involved and Braun Strowman gets the victory by disqualification. And pretty much Braun Strowman gets jumped by Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like, Braun Strowman, he starts fighting back, and it looks like he's going to look strong like he normally does. And out of nowhere, Drew hits him with a Claymore kick, and then Baron Corbin and Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre pretty much just slam him on the steel steps. So it's pretty much the usual. So after that, we come back from commercial break, and they are trying to announce that Seth Rollins is going to come out and make his decision. But before the announcer can even finish announcing that, Brock Lesnar music hits. I thought that was kind of disrespectful. So Paul Heyman runs his normal shtick about how, Seth should pick Daniel, that's the safe bet, and so on and so on, and nobody wants to fight Brock Lesnar. Seth Rollins comes out there and he starts attacking Brock Lesnar, and it looks pretty good at first, and then Brock Lesnar hits him with an F5. Seth gets up, slightly gets up, another F5. He slightly gets up again, another F5. Brock Lesnar hit that man with at least 6 or 7 F5s. I was not a fan of this segment. I know they gotta make Brock look strong, but come on, man, he always looks strong. Like, you didn't have to do that to Seth. Seth should have got way more offense in. But, to each his own, I guess. But all in all, Monday Night Raw actually was not bad. You know, there was a few segments I could have went without, but I think that's simply because Raw should be 2 hours instead of three. But there's nothing I could really complain about at the moment. Give me 1 second. Like there were a few things I might have changed. It's like kind of like this. They tried to renew the feud between Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre. You know why? You know, shouldn't they be focusing on the Drew McIntyre Dolph situation since Dolph came back after taking a couple of weeks off and eliminated Drew McIntyre? Or was Dolph Ziggler's appearance at Royal Rumble one off since his contract is about up? Makes you wonder. Also, I wouldn't have started the women's tournament for the women's tag team tournament with two heels. You know, that match was terrible. Like they have no chemistry together. You know, like there was this one spot where Alexa Bliss got thrown into the corner, and Nia Jax kind of like ran in with a I forgot what they call it, but she pretty much puts her entire ass on Alexa Bliss's face, and if you looked away, you would have looked. It really looks like Alexa Bliss got her head taken off because you couldn't even see her face anymore. That's just how massive Nia Jax's ass is. And another thing I just did not like was the fact that ever since last year, they've kind of like been forcing the winner of the Royal Rumble to pretty much pick on the spot who their opponent was. I used to love back in the day when they had two brands that it was kind of like a mystery. You know, maybe the Raw World Heavyweight Champion is trying to make the Royal Rumble winner pick the SmackDown, and the same and vice versa. I think they should have brought that back because definitely they had this segment with Daniel Bryan, and he was supposed to come out to the ring, and he just never came out to the ring. It literally was like, well, is Daniel Bryan really there, or was that a pre-recorded segment? You know, that it just made no sense. But yeah, all in all, I'm gonna say tonight's Raw wasn't bad actually. I mean, it could be a lot better, you know, but you kind of get what you get when you have a 3-hour show. You know what I mean? But I am excited for SmackDown. I'm not gonna lie. I'm curious of what the story is gonna do with Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. Are they gonna explain how they became cool and so on? You know, and what's left? What's next for Charlotte? Like, does she still main event WrestleMania? Like, how does she find her way into the match with Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey? What's next for Asuka? Who's going to be Asuka's next opponent? Is Asuka going to take the belt all the way to WrestleMania? And what about Shane and Miz? How long is their tag team run going to last? When will one of them turn on the other? And I hope it's Miz, because I hate Miz as a face. But there's so many questions I have for SmackDown, so I'm kind of excited going into it. But yeah, this pretty much wraps up this review. I hope that you guys like it. This was my first review, so you know, don't be too critical of me. But yeah, other than that, man, I will see you guys tomorrow with the SmackDown review. Man, do not forget to like, share, comment. You know, if there's something you think like I could do better, let me know. I know that the video might be just a tad bit boxy, but that's because I got an old computer. I will have a better laptop probably in like 3 weeks or so, but I really just wanted to get this video up there, and because I felt like if I didn't, I just wouldn't. You know, I know how I am. When I procrastinate to the fullest level. I'm an expert procrastinator. But anyway, man, this is Jay bringing you my very first Raw review, and I'm out.